Happy New Year and a warm welcome from myself to 2021. I'm so sure, like many, I'm looking forward to seeing the back of 2020. It was a hard, challenging, depressing, time-consuming and overall rather rubbish year. So here's to hoping that 2021 can bring some real enjoyment and lots of gliding for everyone. The purpose of this short video clip from myself, Andy Perkins, the chairman of the BGA, is just to give an overview of what we're trying to do to assist the sport of gliding in the years ahead. And if you're short of time, the summary will be in around 10 minutes time, so feel free to fast forward to the summary. In terms of 2020, there were some real positives, and actually I think there's much to look forward to in terms of the year ahead. The community spirit and the bringing together of everyone from the club and the resolve that many made to remain engaged, even though they couldn't go gliding, has been really warming to hear. Club chairman, we've talked to them throughout the year and will continue to do so over the years ahead. To me, this has been a really valuable engagement and it gives us the opportunity to talk directly with basically your clubs and to understand exactly what glider pilots want from their sport. To that end, there will be a bit of a call to action later where I want you to hopefully engage with a national survey at some point early in the spring, because I think it's really important that we get your views to make sure the sport is relevant and appropriate to you. Now, sustainability of clubs is not guaranteed in 2021, and we're continuing to do what we can to assist clubs and glider pilots across the UK and enhancing the tools and facilitating where we can to assist the sport. Now, one of the things that I'd just like to mention about 2020 was the fantastic efforts taken by club officials across the country and in particular to the rates team in the development committee, who helped all of the clubs claim the grants that they were eligible for, and that has really helped with the financial resilience to a lot of clubs across the country. And as I say, we're going to do whatever we can to try and support those clubs as the years go on. Now, there's going to be an awful lot of challenges ahead. One of the things I want to reiterate at this point is that we are all the BGA. Yes, it's sort of the official organisation that the clubs are members of, but the important bit is that gliding is all about the people within it. And we're all part of that, and to that end, any engagement or any suggestions, please, we'd love to hear from you. Now, when I became chairman, I spoke about three things that are central to our existence, and I think they're as relevant today as when I first mentioned them, and that's airspace, airfields and participation. They've been thrust into sharp focus over the past year, and these are some of the things that we're trying to do to address those issues. Now, one of the things we've done is initiate Fit for Future through the executive committee, and this is where we're looking at every part of our setup to ensure that we're structured appropriately to maximise benefit for clubs and glider pilots in terms of the services that we deliver as the BGA. Now, although we always keep that under review, a lot of work has already been done to make sure that we're a lean and efficient organisation. We want to make sure that we link all of those elements back to the BGA strategy. Now, that's been led over the last couple of years by our Vice Chairman, George Metcalf, but importantly, we need your engagement to continue to develop and evolve that strategy. So if I look at in turn at those three main topics, so airspace, this continues to be a challenge, and I think there's massive changes ahead for the UK in terms of our freedoms of the air. Now, there's some encouraging signs. The use of electronic conspicuity and the interoperability of devices and the fact that there's been funding for general aviation shows how important this is actually being considered. A real positive is that the CAA has set up a new engagement structure to deal with airspace design. And although there's going to be a lot of consultation there, the idea is that they go direct to the main users to get their opinions ahead of actually rolling out any decisions. Now, it's worth noting that over the past year, there's been a lot less activity, in fact, very minimal activity in the air in the UK for large periods. Now, this has been very beneficial for the drone community, and I think there's been a lot of trials that have been done without as many constraints as there may have been. Linked to this, the funding for the space agency and the efforts that are being sort of linked there in terms of drone usage, I think there's a lot of things we need to just pay close attention to make sure that all of our users are able to get access to airspace over the years ahead. Now, airfields. Site security remains a real threat, and in these times, sites that are owned by clubs have found that there have been a lot more options open to them. Landlords obviously are looking for the best return from their portfolio, and as a result, I know some clubs have found a slight pressure there in terms of the way that they use the airfield and sort of the potential threats there in terms of other uses being used instead of gliding. As a result of this, we are looking at several different elements, and I think importantly, we want to try and make sure that there is site security for people in the long term. Again, the development committee, a specific arm of that, spends a lot of time assisting clubs to make sure that they're able to keep either the structure that they have in place already, or to try and help them with long-term site security. Now, I think there's different ways that we can work with other sports. I think there's potential local government and community groups that we could work with to make better use of our assets and parts that we're maybe not using for use of our sport. And I think as part of that, what we're going to try and do is to work with clubs to make sure that they're fit for the future. And one of the things we're doing is to instigate a project called Project Future Proof. Now, the idea there is to look at alternative business models and options for facilitating a new gliding club. As I'm sure a lot of you are aware, a couple of clubs in the south in particular lost their sites over the last couple of years. And what we want to try and do is explore the different opportunities. Now, I just want to iterate at this point, this is not about the BGA setting up gliding clubs. What this is about is the BGA looking at a high level project to see what the options are, and so that we've got the details together to assist clubs as and when they require it. And by pulling the art of the possible together, we hope we can then present this information to everyone for consideration in terms of how their club may evolve and how different ways of operation may be done in the future. That leads me nicely onto participation. Now, without people in our sport, we don't have a sport. Now, the pandemic has put huge pressure on everyone's daily life and also the way that we operate at the club and the way we enjoy and engage with our sport. Now, I think the important bit there is, importantly, some clubs are actually seeing an increase in new membership with people looking for an outdoor pastime, which is a real positive, and I really hope that that continues. As I'm sure you're aware, a lot of clubs do a lot of trial lesson vouchers, and obviously that income stream has been curtailed over the past year. Some have been able to continue selling those vouchers and have been very upfront about it and have people that are happy to wait. And there is definitely no silver bullet in terms of how we bring people into the sport. But I think the important thing is we've got to look at how we deliver that and how we can facilitate the best sort of operations that actually suit your requirements as a glider pilot, but also allow more people to engage and join our clubs and actually become glider pilots. Now, the pandemic has brought forward several issues for quite a few people in terms of instructing. I know there's lots of dedicated instructors that currently don't feel able to instruct due to the restrictions and the ongoing issues surrounding the pandemic. Now, without instructors, the entire fabric of our club is not sustainable. And I think this is a relevant and real issue. And all I'd say is that if you have got any desire to become an instructor, I think it would be great to try and engage and try and get you involved. And it's crucial for our sport that we try and reinvigorate that instructional side of the sport. There's a lot of people that give a lot of their time for instruction. I've had fantastic years and continue to really enjoy the challenge of instructing. And all I'd say to anyone that isn't currently an instructor but feels they would be willing to instruct, have a consideration for the instructor flight pilot rating. It's really simple. It's just been changed in terms of the whole sort of structure and setup to make it a very sort of easy to deliver course that can partly be done online and does the required amount of flying at your club to make it a real easy way into instructing. Now, importantly, this will potentially help your club in terms of giving them the benefit of your time. Hopefully it will show you as well how easy it is and how enjoyable it is to become an instructor. And the what's in it for you, well, I always think that instructing really helps improve your own flying skills. So if you're able to do that and feel that it might be something that you would be interested in, I would really encourage you to try and do that. Now, I talked a little bit about engagement and the feedback loop. Well, we continue to talk to club chairmen and club officials, but in addition to that, I'd like to launch a national survey this year. And this is going to take two parts. The first will be a high-level, very short survey, just to see what areas of focus you believe are most important to our sport going forward. Then, as things open up again and we start to see some of what we would call maybe normal sort of life and normal times, a more detailed survey where we can understand what you want the sport to look like in the future. Now, if you're able to take part in these surveys, I'd be really grateful. Importantly, encourage others to participate. As some would maybe say this is just mumbo jumbo, well, actually, that's definitely not what I'm trying to get here. I want to make it appropriate, and I want to make sure that we get your views, because we always welcome your contact as individuals as well as clubs. So please drop us an email through any of the different channels, either direct through the office or even directly to myself, chairman@gliding.co.uk. So just to reiterate to all, please strongly consider becoming an instructor flight pilot if you don't already instruct, as I really think that will help. Now, it's been a really challenging time. This pandemic will continue to test our resolve. However, I know we all love gliding, and I think the important thing is that we've got to have great fun, and whatever's thrown at us, we will adapt, and we'll find a way to make sure that our sports can survive and thrive in the future. Please keep everyone involved, as it will be a long winter for many, and let's get this through this winter and into the next summer to make sure that we have that renewed energy so that we can take the sport that we love to new heights. Thanks for listening, and as I say, if there is anything else that you want to tell us or engage with us about in terms of moving the sport forward, please do get in touch. Take care, safe flying.